What is up, guys? It's your boy Rick Kakis, and today we've got some brand spanking new Destiny 2 news, courtesy of the Bungie weekly update that has just gone live, revealing official information. And oh boy, it's been kind of a juicy week, and so let's get started. But just before we do...
What the heck are you doing out here?
Oh, my phone overheats, so I have to play my mobile games out here.
Well, why don't you use a red magic phone?
A red magic phone? Oh, you mean like today's sponsor?
If you're someone who spends a lot of time gaming on your phone, you have gotta check out the Red Magic 10 Pro. It is chock full of features, making it a gamer's dream. In terms of the display, a full 1.5K screen with an exclusive BOE-X Red Magic AMOLED display, over 7,000 milliamp battery, 1.25mm ultra narrow frame and bezel with a 95.3 screen to body ratio, liquid metal cooling that's usually found on laptops. Long story short, it looks f***ing incredible. And I got the brand new colorway, a sleek white called Lightspeed. But it also plays incredibly. Check this out. You have this red toggle here. You can switch it. It literally changes into gamer mode where you have your game lobby. You can go over, look at this, plugins. You have built-in plugins for all the games you play. And the performance you're going to get is incredible. It's got a Snapdragon 8 Elite processor, which is going to allow you to get 2K display with 120 frames. Everything gaming has been thought of with the Red Magic 10 Pro. Definitely, guys, again, if you're someone who spends a lot of time playing mobile games on your phone, you gotta get you one of these. Definitely check it out by clicking the link in the description down below. Alright, now, first things first, what's been going on this week for Destiny 2? Well, on the Tuesday weekly reset, we actually had a couple of activities going live. First of all, we have the final Iron Banner of Episode Revenant, so you have another 2 weeks to get any Iron Banner weapon god rolls you may not have. Mainly, you get to go after the Tanasha's Mastery, the first and only stasis rocket-assisted frame sidearm in the game. If you get one with Chill Clip, it absolutely rips. However, players are not happy Iron Banner is lasting 2 weeks, and the feedback has been overwhelmingly negative on that change. However, Bungie has stated that it's going back to a 1-week rotation next episode with episode Heresy, so just keep that in mind. But the other activity that went live was actually something brand new. As you can see right here, it's the Kel's Vengeance mission. So, this has a set difficulty of Master, set modifiers including a modifier that will make you replay an encounter if you screw up the bonus objectives, and then you have to essentially go into a special Tomb of Elders, and then the final fight, as you can see right here, has interesting, unique mechanics. You have to pass around this debuff before the time wears out. You have to fill up these servitor heads, and then you're gonna have to actually kill Skolass, like a unique boss fight. A little bit of a tip here, guys. Free, guide video. Put on a bubble, and as you can see, you can cover him with the bubble, and all the little floating orbs that are supposed to heal him can't even reach him, and then you can just go to town with swords and one-phase him. Now, what do you get for beating this activity? Well, you get an exotic ship, and I'm showing it off right here as a guaranteed drop for your first run, and then you have a chance at a special emblem. So you're gonna have to farm this activity potentially to get that emblem. Now, this has caused a bit of a row within the community, and I mean, not a bit of a row. People are very upset about this activity, or very upset at the people very upset about this activity. Essentially, this is mainly because this activity requires a team but has no matchmaking and has no ability to do it solo or with anything less than 3 players. So you're gonna have to go to an LFG website or something like that to find a team. I had to, get on Discord and drag some friends away from Marvel Rivals to make them actually play this with me, right? And a lot of people just feel like that excludes a huge portion of the community. Why not just have a matchmaking queue? Now, other people, like my buddy Scaro here, are absolutely fighting in the trenches of Twitter, talking about how, hey, this activity is supposed to be harder, it's a master difficulty, yeah, sometimes you're gonna have to go and get a team. So there's a huge, back and forth debate about that, and overall, I do kind of agree with the sentiment that Scaro is making that, hey, there's a saying, if you try to make something for everyone, you end up making it for no one. If you try to appeal to such a broad audience, that you're just going to end up producing a mediocre product. Sometimes you have to specialize and say, this is going to be a hardcore activity. This is going to be challenging, and we're going to focus on that particular, portion of the community. And then if you make that, you then make another piece of content that's a little bit more broad, focused on the more casual part of the community, and you have a bunch of different activities to satisfy different people. Now that is totally fine in concept, but I totally understand why people are upset about this particular activity, because it just feels like a weird one to put that hardcore, team only filter on. I mean, the reward is just an exotic ship and a chance and an emblem. It feels like the final send-off activity of the season, and so it kind of feels like you're missing out on the season finale. Like, it's like the final special mission that's just gone live at the tail end of the season. Why is this the thing to make hardcore? I feel like if Bungie would have released this earlier, maybe with Act 2, when Tomb of Elders actually came out, it would have gotten a much better reception. To release it now, again, it just feels weird that this is the one you make hardcore and exclusive and no matchmaking, right? Like, so I totally understand why people are upset, and also I just don't care about this activity. Like, I do not care about my 20 billionth exotic ship, and I really don't care about an emblem, so I don't care about this activity. I don't know why Bungie didn't make this activity have a chance to drop those pre-masterworked episode Revenant Weapons with double perks. Remember those guys when we first started playing Onslaught? You had a super small chance to essentially get a shiny Revenant weapon, like pre-masterworked with double perks, and then no one ever talked about that again, and then it like doesn't drop from like any other activities. Why not make them farmable here? Then people would actually care about this. So for me, it was a one and done activity, but yeah, it just didn't go over well. It maybe was supposed to be some secret surprise activity that was really cool. The mechanics are somewhat interesting, but overall the reception has been either negative or pretty ambivalent, so a bit of a miss. What do you guys think though? Are you enjoying this activity? Let me know. I really wish you could farm those like pre-masterwork shiny Revenant weapons from this, and I'd be super thrilled about it. Moving on from there, however, let's get to the brand new information within the TWAB. And right off the bat, we have some huge new info on the brand new dungeon coming in episode Heresy. So it's called the Sundered Doctrine, and Bungie says Heresy is right around the corner, and it comes with the launch of a new dungeon. On Friday, February 7th, travel to Savathun's throne world and infiltrate a Rohulk's pyramid ship in the new dungeon, Sundered Doctrine. To celebrate the launch, we're issuing a challenge to the top fire teams in the world with the Sundered Doctrine dungeon race. So another dungeon race similar to Vesper's host. So they say it will have contest mode enabled for the first 48 hours, providing the most difficult version of the dungeon for the race and any brave guardians who want the ultimate challenge. This time around, rather than a podium race, we'll be looking to crown the single team that rises to the top and finishes first. With that, we are leveling up the reward, creating something memorable and unique to honor the incredible accomplishment of the winning team. That's why for this race, each winning team member will receive the first ever dungeon race trophy. We'll get a glimpse of this new prize as we get closer to the dungeon launch. So here are the specific details of that. So contest mode will be enabled again for 48 hours. You will need to be at 1995 power to be at the cap through all encounters. That's not too hard to achieve. So again, as long as your character is 1995, you're going to be good in the challenge mode. Then you need to assemble a fire team of 3 people to start the Sundered Doctrine dungeon in contest mode from the planet system map. All fire team members must own the Final Shape dungeon key and acquire the Drowning Labyrinth quest to enter the dungeon, and once the final encounter is complete, the fire team must loot the chest for their finish to be recorded. A team's official finish will be recorded when they loot the final chest. At least one member of the fire team must have completed and received loot for every encounter, and it must be the first time completing the activity for all members of the fire team. So more details about contest mode, because they have not talked about the first 3 teams that beat it, then normal mode is unlocked like last time. So they say, we'll enable contest mode, ramping up the difficulty. In contest mode, enemies are more aggressive. Encounters feature resurrection tokens that have an enrage mechanic that limits the number of phases or time players have left to complete it. Also, character power does not provide an advantage above the recommended level. Contest mode also comes with some extra perks to reward your hard work and excellence. Fire teams that manage to conquer Sundered Doctrine in contest mode will earn a special emblem and are guaranteed to get the dungeon exotic, just like Icebreaker. If contest mode isn't your thing, you won't have to wait long. Normal mode will be enabled as soon as the first fire team completes the dungeon, so no more waiting for 3 teams. 1 team beats it on contest, normal mode will be unlocked for everyone else out there. Very interesting. Also, this time around, there's going to be an official race coverage stream in partnership with Community Voices, CB Gray, and Evan F 1997. So you can see them right here. So if you head to their channels, they're going to be likely showing a bunch of different teams that are also streaming going through this race. If you're not good enough to play, you're good enough to commentate. I'm Josh, and that's actually a very cool thing that Bungie is doing. So in addition to that, guys, they also say they're going to be streaming at 7 a.m. with a pre-show, and there's going to be this exclusive emblem for tuning into their specific stream, and you can see it right here. But moving on from there, we have even more stuff to cover, and it is massive. We have a brand new arc keyword, Bolt Charge. We have 3 new aspects being added, and the Heresy ability balance patch. First of all, they have something brand new called Bolt Charge, with Bungie saying they've had some time to sit with the ARC subclasses and they want to address a systemic need they had with the reduced number of buffs the damage type has versus others. We want to use that space to add something that brought ARC a powerful damage tool we felt was missing. However, Bolt Charge is a little different mechanically than our previous ones. So they say Bolt Charge is a positive stacking buff that you will need to build up on yourself over time. Once you reach max charge, your next ability attack will unleash a devastating bolt of lightning. So while you can have a 1 or more stacks from any source, aspects, fragments, weapon perks, etc., dealing damage with any weapon increases your Bolt Charge stack count. Each time a stack is gained, you gain a chunk of melee energy. At 10 stacks, your Bolt Charge is ready, and any ability damage, arc or otherwise, summons a powerful arc bolt, dealing roughly the same amount of damage as a solar ignition with a smaller area of effect. Different from Ignition though, a Bolt Charge is tuned to have a more consistent and predictable uptime. So similar to the addition of Frost Armor with Stasis recently, we have woven Bolt Charge into Arc and Prismatic suites to allow those subclasses to access this new keyword. The new arc aspects for the Striker Titan and Stormcaller Warlock also feature Bolt Charge. Please refer to the balance pass for the full details. Really cool stuff, guys. And that's like, you're gonna now have solar ignition power stuff on your arc subclass or prismatic. I mean, I love running a Prismatic Titan with the jolting pulse grenades, so this is like just a massive boost in damage output for that type of build. Oh, and also, that's right, new aspects are being added in Heresy, so let's go over them, guys. First of all, they have On the Prowl. So they say for the Night Stalkers, On the Prowl is a new void aspect for hunters that embodies the fantasy of hunting down prey and being rewarded for the kill. So here's what it does. Entering invisibility marks a nearby enemy as a priority target for you and your team. This does not enable players to see marked targets through walls in the Crucible. Defeating priority targets creates a weakening cloud of smoke that makes you and allies invisible when passing through it. When priority targets are defeated, you and nearby allies gain increased weapon reload speed and stability for a short duration and are granted grenade, melee, and class ability energy. They actually have a video of it right now, so let's take a look. And obviously the main thing is that it chains. You can go from one priority target to another, gaining invisibility from each one of those smoke clouds and marking more targets. This seems very cool. Now, after that, we have Storm's Keep. They say, Strikers, you're up. Storm's Keep is a new class ability focus aspect for Arc Titans that utilizes Bolt Charge to its fullest potential. So what it does is that you cast your class ability to grant a moderate number of Bolt Charge stacks to you and nearby allies. While behind your barricade, you and allies gain stacks of Bolt Charge over time, and any weapon damage will discharge max stacks of Bolt Charge. So here's the video of it. Okay, so you're doing damage from behind the barricade, and then the lightning strike comes down for a big chunk of extra damage. Basically, you can turn any one of your weapons into a little bit of a Thunderlord with those additional lightning strikes that do more damage. This is just more damage output. Now, how good is it going to be? It all depends on how much extra damage you actually get. But again, if you can find a way to incorporate this, you can turn some of the best DPSing weapons, like for example, the Edge Transit, now they're just calling down lightning bolts as well. So that could be very good, because I don't think the weapons need to be specifically arc. And last but certainly not least, we have Ionic Sentry. Now, this is going to be for the Stormcaller Warlocks, and they say everyone loves buddies, and Arc Soul was begging for a sibling. Behold, we found one with Ionic Sentry. So what it does is you defeat targets with Arc abilities or weapons to charge up an Ionic Sentry. You activate your grenade and deploy a powerful Arc Turret, which blinds on impact and sends out bolts of lightning that can chain to nearby enemies and grants stacks of Bolt Charge when it defeats enemies. So here's the video. So you thought you had to play Path of Exile 2 for a minion build? Apparently you don't, because this can pair, I would imagine, with the current Arc Soul, and you can have 2 Arc buddies. Like, that's actually going to be pretty crazy. That looks relatively effective, and we've had other turrets like Bleak Watcher be very effective in the game, so really interesting one there too. Now, from what Bungie says, I don't believe any of these aspects are coming to Prismatic. Rather, they're going to be in those original elemental subclasses. But this is awesome. I love that Bungie is adding new aspects. I said in a video years ago, when they updated the subclass layout for Beyond Light, that it provided the perfect framework to add more of this stuff, more aspects, more fragments, more abilities to really spice up build crafting. So it's taken them a while, but I always love to see this stuff, because again, like, one new aspect has a bajillion different combinations that can create some crazy new builds. So moving on from there, however, we have just specific balancing changes. For the Hunter, Arc Strider, Tempest Strike, now killing any jolted target grants Bolt Charge, and have increased PvE damage by 57%. Disorienting Blow now grants a moderate amount of Bolt Charge stacks when dealing damage, and now deals significant damage in an area of effect around the target instead of just to a single target, and it increases the blind area of effect. Then for Arc Staff, reflecting an attack will grant a stack of Bolt Charge. In Ascension, they increased the fragment count to 3 on normal Arc. It was already 3 for Prismatic. Activating Ascension will now activate the effects of the following abilities: Gambler's Dodge, Marksman's Dodge, Empowering Dodge, and Threaded Spectre. So activate Ascension with Marksman's Dodge, reload your weapons. Activate it with Gambler's Dodge, instantly gen your melee back. Really, really awesome stuff there. So they say we don't plan on making Ascension activate every Hunter class ability perk, however, but many more interactions in the future may be added. Then for Threadrunner, Ensnaring Slam, activating Ensnaring Slam now activates the effects of the following abilities: Gambler's Dodge, Marksman's Dodge, and Threaded Spectre. And they've also increased the clone's PvE damage resistance from 40 to 70%. For the Titan, guys, for everything Barricade, increased damage resistance versus combatant splash damage attacks when standing behind the barricade. Taunt strength and rage no longer falls off over time, so it's going to taunt the same amount the entire duration. For the Striker, Juggernaut, while the shield is active, players now have splash damage resistance, 60% in PvE, 10% in PvP. That's actually really good for PvE. When the Juggernaut shield is active, players now have 10% damage resistance versus PvE combatants. And when the shield blocks damage, players are granted a stack of Bolt Charge. Then for Ballistic Slam, sprint time requirement for the activation significantly reduced, damage now scales based on distance traveled, and damage versus PvE combatants increases by 30%. Each enemy damaged by Ballistic Slam grants a stack of Bolt Charge, up to a max of 10 stacks if you manage to hit 10 targets with a single activation. For the Sentinel Unbreakable, oh boy, yeah, this was a bit crazy this season. They've increased the rate that the Unbreakable offensive throw charges up when blocking damage, increased the max damage dealt from the offensive throw by 20%, increased the health pool of the shield to make it less likely to break when under heavy fire, increased the void overshield charge rate while holding the shield. Throw now costs half of grenade energy charge instead of a full charge. While Sentinel Shield is equipped, Orb of Power cooldown increased from 1 second to 4.5 seconds. Okay, I knew there was going to be a nerf coming, because that's the nerf. It was just spitting out orbs before. They say Unbreakable has received a significant buff here. We want to be strong, but we will be monitoring closely to make sure it hasn't gone too far. And Ward of Dawn now does a weaken pulse when it's created. That's super interesting, actually. So a little bit of a boss DPS debuff option. Then for Sunbreaker Consecration, oh boy, reduced the Scorch Wave and Slam Wave PvE damage by 55%. And they said, yeah, all right, I can't even complain about that. Consecration was so busted. Then we have the Warlock Stormcaller. So Storm Trance, non-champion PvE damage up by 20%. Chaos Reach, same thing, up by 15%. Lightning Surge, they've removed Amplified on cast, now grants a stack of Bolt Charge for each enemy hit with Lightning Surge, and increased damage versus PvE combatants by 30%. Then for the Voidwalker, the handheld Supernova, so Chaos Accelerant's magnetic grenade variant, increased total projectile count from 5 to 9, increased the width of the cone's blast by roughly 2 meters, increased the height of the cone's blast by 1 meter, and reduced projectile damage in PvP from 20 to 15 per projectile to account for additional projectiles. Alright, then, for all classes, for Solar Radiant, damage bonus reduced from 25% to 20% in PvE, but Well of Radiance damage bonus remains unchanged. Very weird nerf, but that is like a 5% damage reduction across the board. Potentially more because of how things stack. Like if you're suddenly doing less damage, you have less damage to multiply by weaken and stuff like that. So yeah, you're going to be doing a bit less damage now. For Stasis, Frost Armor increased the damage resistance per stack from 4.5% to 6.25%. So at max stacks, it goes from 36% all the way up to 50%. And that's a PvE only change, but that is significant. Then for Arc, Amplified. While Amplified PvE combatants are now less accurate against you, this is similar to the Manticore's exotic effect and how it works in the air. Then, while Amplified, players now have 15% damage resistance against PvE combatants. That's correct. Then, Spark Discharge added an effect picking up an Ionic Trace grants a stack of Bolt Charge, and Spark of Momentum. They added Sliding Over Ammo Bricks grants Bolt Charge, removed the bespoke melee energy bonus from Sliding Over Ammo Bricks since each stack of Bolt Charge comes with bonus melee energy, reduced the amount of time you need to be sliding to activate Spark of Momentum. For Spark of Frequency, added effect while Amplified gain a bonus stack of Bolt Charge from all sources in addition to the previous effect. Spark of Volts, finishers now grant a stack of Bolt Charge in addition to granting Amplified, and Spark of Ions. Targets defeated with Bolt Charge will also make an Ionic Trace in addition to the previous effect. Now, for Prismatic, Facet of Hope can now be activated by Bolt Charge. Facet of Purpose now grants a stack of Bolt Charge on Orb Pickup when an Arc Super is equipped instead of granting Amplified. I would have liked to see it grant both, to be honest. Facet of Sacrifice can now be activated by a Bolt Charge. And modifiers, they say for Brawn, they've tuned Healing Source to better balance health economy when this modifier is active, guys. Moving on from there, Bungie says Past is Prologue starts next week. So they say as we enjoy the final weeks of Revenant, we have one final celebration. It's a prologue of sorts leading into Heresy, where we get a chance to see what life in the universe is like when there aren't any gods around us to slay. This time, we have spent a few quiet moments with Eris and the Drifter, remembering how far we've come and answering the age-old question, can pineapples bloom on the battlefield? If you played Riven's Wishes last year, the flow of the event will feel similar. Starting on January 21st, next Tuesday, you can visit the Drifter to pick up quests that will reward a special currency called Bento tokens. These tokens can be exchanged for some, if we do say so ourselves, pretty snazzy rewards over at Eris. Throughout the event, you'll have the chance to earn a total of 8 Bento tokens, so spend them wisely and make them count. Note, let's check on what rewards you'll be spending them on. And you can see the image here of the rewards. So, I mean, we have some pretty valuable currencies and a very iconic Trials weapon. So, here we go. So the currency, Ascendant Alloy, you get 2 for 1 Bento token cost, right? Ascendant Shard, you get 2 for 1. Exotic Cipher, it's 1 for 1. Spoils of Conquest, you get 25 for 1 token. If you're not a big raider, that could be huge for getting the spoils you need to buy certain raid items. Then we have Mementos. All the Mementos you see here, 1 for 1 token cost. Then we have Weapons and Armor. So you can just go and buy the Cloud Strike for 3 tokens. Potentially you won't need to own the DLC Beyond Light where Cloud Strike came from. If this is part of the offer, like this could be, if you're a free-to-play player, you might be able to get your hands on Cloud Strike, which is a big deal. Then we have a bunch of weapons here with fixed rolls. So the Cataphract GL3 is got Bait and Switch, Envious Assassin, pretty good. Igneous Hammer, Precision Instrument, Fragile Focus with a range masterwork, could be decent actually. Horror's Least, Kill Clip with Perpetual Motion, not bad. Riptide, Chill Clip, Compulsive Reloader, not bad. Yeah, and then you also have some Artifice armor you can get here as well for the Titan, the Warlock, and the Hunter. In addition, they say you can also get the Chatterwhite shader. So they say once you've turned in 5 Bento tokens, you'll gain access to something as precious and pale as the moon. That's right, Chatterwhite is coming back as a reward for participating in this event, guys. It's only around for 2 weeks, so they say don't waste any time before the start of Heresy. Moving on from there, we have the results of the community armor votes here, guys. For the Titan, the Slasher armor set won with 53% of the vote. For the Hunter, the Spectre won with 57% of the vote. And for the Warlock, the Slenderman armor won with 73% of the vote. Holy crap, that was an absolute demolition there. After that, guys, Bungie talks about Game to Give 2025, where they are raising money for some great causes. You can see some of the rewards you can win, and also the link to this fundraiser is in the TWAB, which is linked in the description of this video. Moving on from there, we have the hashtag Destiny 2 fashion feedback for this week, and you can see the different options right here, so you can go vote for which of these you actually want to see, guys. And that's going to be it for all of the need-to-know information this week. What a massive update and some pretty exciting things. Like, some of those new aspects look really sweet, and I'm excited to make some builds out of those. Guys, that is it for the video. I hope you enjoyed and found this informative. If you did, please remember to help me out by simply rating and especially sharing this video. If you guys want to see more Destiny 2 content similar to this, don't be afraid to slap that subscribe button. If you want to get in touch with me and keep up to date with the latest channel activity, the best way is to follow me on Twitter at RickCactus. That is linked in the description down below. Again, I hope you enjoyed the video, and as always, have a good day.